The sky over Zelkara Prime was purple and cold. Ships flew in perfect lines. Soldiers stood in armor. The people were silent. Everyone had come to see a monster die. At the center of the great arena, a cage of glowing steel held the dragon. It was huge, its body covered in dark metal-like scales. Its eyes burned with red fire. The people called it Dragor, the last of the war dragons. It was born in a lab to be a weapon. It had killed many, even its own trainers. No one could control it. High above the arena, in a floating black throne, sat Empress Nerea. She ruled the galaxy with fear. Her voice was cold and full of power. This beast has no heart. It will burn no more worlds. Today, it dies. The crowd cheered. Soldiers began to open the cage, but far below, in the servant tunnels under the arena, a girl watched the screen in silence. Her name was Ga. She was 17. Small. Thin. She wore round glasses and carried a small book everywhere. Her job was to clean the beast kennels. No one noticed her. No one cared. Ga was not a warrior. She was quiet, kind. She spoke to animals when no one listened. She loved stories about dragons, not for their power, but for their hearts. She had seen Dragor up close once. The dragon was in chains. Its leg was bleeding. It growled when people came near. But when Ga had whispered gently to it, it had stopped moving. It had stared at her like it understood. Now they were going to kill it. Her heart beat fast. She couldn't explain why, but she couldn't let it happen. She grabbed her book and ran. Up the stairs. Past the guards. Into the light of the arena. Small voice cried out through the roar of the crowd. Stop. Everyone turned. Ga stood at the edge of the arena floor, shaking. Her glasses slipped down her nose. Her book fell to the sand. What is this? The Empress snapped. Who let a slave girl into my arena? Soldiers moved to grab her, but before they could, something strange happened. Dragor stopped. The dragon's body froze. Its eyes glowed, but not with rage. It looked at Ga and tilted its head. The arena became quiet. Even the wind stopped. Ga stepped forward slowly. Her voice was soft. I know you're not a monster, she said. You're just alone. The dragon growled low. It was not a threat. It was a sound of pain. Ga walked closer. May I touch you? The crowd gasped. The Empress rose from her throne. She will die, she said. Let her. But Dragor did not attack. Instead, he lowered his great head. Smoke curled from his nose, but he made no move to harm her. Ga reached out with both hands and touched the warm scales on his snout. The dragon closed its eyes, and then in front of thousands, the deadliest dragon in the galaxy lay down at her feet, curled around her like a sleeping dog. The arena was silent. The Empress stared. What is this? She whispered. No one could answer, because all their weapons, all their pain collars, all their battle tech had failed. But one small, nerdy girl with a book in her hand had done the impossible. She had tamed the Empire's dragon. The arena was still. No one moved. No one spoke. Even the Empress was silent. Her eyes watched the small girl and the mighty dragon with confusion and fear. Ga sat beside the dragon, now calm and resting. Its sharp wings were folded. Its breathing was soft. People in the crowd looked at each other, unsure what they had just seen. This dragon, Dragor, had killed trained warriors. It had broken steel cages. It had never shown mercy. But now it acted like a harmless pet beside the human girl. Bring the girl to me, the Empress finally said. Soldiers stepped forward, careful not to upset the dragon. But when they reached Ga, Dragor lifted his head and growled. The soldiers froze. Ga looked up and spoke gently. It's okay, big one. I'll come back soon. Be still. The dragon looked into her eyes. Then it laid its head back down. The soldiers led Ga away carefully, their eyes wide with fear and wonder. Inside the great throne chamber, Empress Nerea sat tall and proud. The walls were black stone and glowing lights. Ga stood before her, still holding her book. "What are you?" the Empress asked. Her voice was cold. "I'm just a girl," Ga said quietly. "You are not just anything," Nerea said. "That beast obeyed you. It bowed to you. No one has done that. Not even me." Ga stayed silent. "Are you using tech, mind tricks, some kind of earth magic?" "No," Ga said. "I just listened. I treated him like a creature, not a weapon." The Empress narrowed her eyes. "You speak of kindness. That is weakness." Ga shook her head. "No, sometimes kindness is stronger than fear." The Empress laughed, but it was not warm. It was sharp and bitter. "Then let's see if your kindness works again." She raised a hand. "Bring in the second beast." Doors opened, and a new creature entered. This one was smaller than Dragor, but just as deadly. It had blue scales and 6 red eyes. Its tail dripped with venom. Soldiers watched closely, ready to kill it if it went wild. Ga's eyes widened. The creature looked angry and scared. "You want me to go near it?" she asked. "Yes," Nerea said. "If you truly have a gift, then show me." Ga took a deep breath and walked toward the creature. It hissed loudly. The soldiers tensed, but Ga kept her voice soft. "I know you're afraid," she whispered. "They hurt you, didn't they?" The creature stopped hissing. Its eyes blinked. "It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." She reached out a hand. The room was quiet. Then slowly, the beast lowered its head. Ga touched its snout. The creature shivered, but stayed calm. Gasps filled the room. Even the Empress stood from her throne. "It listens to her," one guard said in shock. "She's not controlling them," another whispered. "They trust her." Empress Nerea looked at Ga, and for the first time her voice had a small hint of respect. "You are something new." Ga turned around. "No," she said. "They are not new. You just never gave them a chance to show who they really are." That night, Ga was not taken back to the servant pits. Instead, she was given a small room in the upper tower. It was simple, but clean. The dragon Dragor was placed nearby in a peaceful chamber. Before she went to sleep, Ga sat beside him. "Thank you for trusting me," she whispered. Dragor let out a soft breath, warm and slow. His eyes glowed gently. And outside the window, the Empress stood in silence, watching the girl with a dragon resting at her feet. She didn't understand it yet, but something had changed in her empire. Days passed, then weeks, and the stories began to spread. People across the empire started talking about the small human girl with glasses who tamed the dragon. They said she had no weapons, no armor, no powers, just soft words, gentle hands, and a quiet heart. They called her Beast Whisperer. But Ga didn't care about the names. She still woke early, still cleaned the dragon pens, still carried her book. The only difference was that now the dragons waited for her. Every day she visited Dragor first. He greeted her with a low rumble and lowered his great head for a pat. He even let her read to him, resting his huge chin on her lap as she flipped through old Earth stories. "Dragons back home are different," she would say. "But maybe they were like you, before people made them into monsters." After Dragor, she visited the blue-scaled beast, who now followed her like a loyal pet. Then the others, sharp-fanged, fire-breathing, winged, and horned. One by one, the untamable became calm under her care. Even the guards who once feared these creatures started watching from a distance with curiosity instead of fear. Inside the grand palace, Empress Nerea was no longer laughing. She watched recordings of GI again and again. "How is this possible?" she whispered to her advisors. "What is her secret?" "She doesn't have one," said General Dahlin, an old war leader. "She's just kind." "Kindness doesn't control beasts," the Empress snapped. "No," Dahlin replied, "but maybe it heals them." This idea stayed in Nerea's mind. She did not like it, but she could not ignore it either. One evening, the Empress called Gi to her throne room again. "You are changing them," Nerea said as Gi stood before her. Gi nodded. "No, I'm reminding them who they were." The Empress raised an eyebrow. "And who were they?" Gi looked up. "Not monsters, just creatures who were raised in fear. They were never given love, or even choice." Nerea said nothing. She only waved her hand. A new plan began. The Empress sent Ga to more dragon pits, places far from the palace. She wanted to see if Ga's effect was real, or just luck. What happened next shocked the Empire. In every place Ga visited, dragons became gentle. Some even followed her around like children follow a parent. One wrapped its tail around her wrist. Another brought her glowing flowers from the mountain. A third one guarded her door while she slept. The galaxy watched with wide eyes. This wasn't a trick. It was real. Soon, whispers spread from planet to planet. Some called Gi a secret god. Others thought she had ancient earth powers. Many just believed she was proof that humans had strange hearts, hearts that changed things without trying to. One day, a shadow cult tried to kill the Empress with poison darts. They entered the palace through secret walls. But before the guards could react, Dragor smashed through a crystal wall and stood between them and the Empress. He didn't burn them. He didn't crush them. He just growled. The assassins dropped their weapons and ran. The Empress stared at the great dragon. "Why would you save me?" she whispered. Dragor looked back, but did not answer. Later, Nerea asked Gia the same question. "Why did your dragon save me?" Gia smiled a little. "Maybe he knows I care about life, even yours." That night, the Empress walked alone to the dragon pens. She saw Ga reading by torchlight with 2 dragons beside her. For the first time, Nerea sat down next to her. "You're not what I expected," she said. Ga looked up. "Neither are they." The Empress looked at the fire-lit faces of the beasts and said nothing. But deep inside, something in her heart began to shift, like a locked door creaking open for the first time in years. Everything was different now. Dragons no longer roared in cages. They flew across the sky, free but peaceful. Some still stayed near their old homes, but not out of fear. They stayed because Ga was there. She didn't tell them to stay. They simply chose to. Even the cold black towers of the Empress's palace began to look less sharp. Flowers bloomed in strange corners. Guards walked with less fear in their eyes. Things were changing. Empress Nerea noticed this too. At first, she hated it. She had built her rule on fear and strength. But now, dragons bowed to a girl who barely reached her shoulder. A girl who brought books instead of chains. A girl who hugged beasts instead of hurting them. The Empress called Ga again. "You've made my strongest weapons into soft creatures," she said. "No," Ga replied. "They've always been strong. Now they're just not angry anymore." Nerea sighed. She looked out the window at the dragons resting below. "I ruled by force," she said. "But they never followed me like they follow you." Ga looked at her carefully. "Maybe you don't need to be feared anymore." The Empress was silent for a long time. Then she asked, "What should I do now?" Ga thought for a moment. "Build sanctuaries," she said. "Not cages. Let the dragons heal. Let others learn from them. You think they can be teachers? I think they already are." So it began. The Empress, with Ga's help, turned her dragon war programs into peaceful sanctuaries. Young alien students came to learn. Scientists studied dragon songs. Artists painted them as protectors, not weapons. Even other alien empires sent messengers. They wanted to meet the girl who turned fire into calm. But Ga stayed simple. She wore the same glasses, carried the same bag of old books, and every night she sat with Dragor, her first and closest friend. Sometimes she sang to him. Sometimes she just sat in silence with his warm head resting near her feet. One day the Empress joined her again. "I still don't understand how you did it," she said. I didn't do anything, GA said softly. I just gave them something they never had. What's that? A choice. A little kindness. A reason to trust. Nerea looked at the girl. So small. So human. And yet the dragons, who once burned cities, now curled around her like kittens around their mother. That's when it happened. Massive ancient dragon, one the Empress had locked away for decades, broke free of its icy prison. It flew high into the red skies, roaring, lightning flashing behind its wings. The city guards panicked. Sirens echoed. People screamed. But before weapons could fire, GA walked into the center of the city alone. She held no shield, only her voice. The dragon landed with a crash, dust and flames rising all around. It bared its teeth and growled, but GA didn't flinch. She stepped closer, looked into its eyes, and whispered, "You're not alone." The dragon froze. Then slowly it lowered its giant head. The city was silent. High above, the Empress watched. "She's not a soldier," Nerea said. "No, Your Majesty," a guard replied. "She's something more." From that day on, GA was not just Beast Whisperer. Across the stars, she was known as Mother of Beasts, a simple human girl who changed the galaxy, not by fighting, but by feeling. Not by controlling, but by caring. Outro hook to engage the audience. In a galaxy ruled by fear, one girl brought peace with nothing but kindness and a library card. What would you do if you met a creature everyone else feared? Would you run? Or listen? Let us know in the comments below. Like this story, hit the like button, share with your fellow sci-fi lovers, and subscribe for more Paragon rebitals. And tell us, who would you rather follow? The Empress or the girl with glasses? More emotional sci-fi stories coming soon. Stay tuned.